We've been doing this in these virtual meetings. Hi, Susan. I see you. Susan Messino. Do we have Ann Erickson? No. Bill Rice?
Yep,
Hi.
here, Eric.
Yep. Tim Walzak. Saw you, Tim.
Yep.
Marjorie Winters. I see you. I'm here. Eric Wellman. Dave Bush.
Dave's running late.
Okay. Helen Peterson. I see Helen. And Maria Capriola. Hi. Tom Taberski. I see you. We have Jeff Shea. And I saw Tom Fitzgerald. Okay, excellent. Well, let's call the meeting to order. And
Eric, Mike Glidden's here too.
Oh, Mike, sorry, you weren't on my sheet. I only go by my sheet.
Oh, I'll go.
No, thanks, Mike. Anybody else that I'm missing? Oh, Mike, you're on. Hey, Tom, for the record, Mike's on my sheet. You did a good job. All right, we're going to begin with public audience, and we received an email from one person. For anyone else who wants to participate in public audience, the email is ebutler@simsbury-ct.gov. So send an email to Erica Butler to participate in public audience for open space or any of our other meetings. So this is a letter from Diane Nash. Members of the Open Space Committee, please use your position to find a proper way forward on the disposition of the parcel of open space on Holcomb Street. Why is the public outraged over this sale? The land is public land that benefits all. The sale would make it private land to benefit one. The unintended consequences of this sale, the precedent it sets, is what unites the opposition. Antonio's original purchase and the land reconfiguration to accomplish that is a stunning example of how bad can be the unintended consequences. The public deserves full disclosure. Without it, this single transaction will undermine policies and procedures for the disposition of open space and undermine our trust in the operation of our government. Had the sale of the Holcomb parcel been tied to the sale of the old well strip, the principle of the greater good with the least detriment would rule. If the quid pro quo of this transaction is cart before the horse, then perhaps Steve Antonio's response to leasing is a good option. Lease both pieces. Both leases could have language to the effect that the lease could be forwarded to a bond for deed, sale at a future date when or if the old well parcel is chosen site for the extension/connection of the bike trail, as details of price, conditions, boundaries are mutually satisfactory. One without the other remains a lease. The full disclosure of price, timing, and impact, confidence would be restored in our policies and procedures, as well as trust that rules are applied to all citizens without favoritism. Let your voice be heard to the Board of Selectmen in defense of preservation and protection of public land and rules governing its stewardship and disposition. Respectfully, Diane Nash. So moving on to the approval of the minutes from our two sets of minutes. First is from our March 4th meeting. And my understanding is that there were some changes made to those minutes following our last meeting. Is there any feedback on the March 4th minutes? Okay, hearing none, then they will stand. The June 2nd minutes. And Marjorie, thanks for chairing that meeting. Is there any input on those minutes? Okay, hearing none, then that stands as well. So we have a number of updates, and the first is on the Parks and Rec and Open Space Master Plan. Tom, should I turn it over to you?
Yes, please. So good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see everybody again. I'm happy to say that we have received an updated draft of the Parks and Open Space Master Plan. Our steering committee was sent that draft about a week or so ago. It is quite thick. I had it printed out. You're looking at a large document here. We've given, as of today, after this meeting's over, I will send it to the entire Open Space Committee and the Culture, Parks and Rec Commission as well. I have not had a chance to finish my review. I've just scratched the surface of it. I'm not sure where the other steering committee members have landed at this point on it. if they'd like to report in. But I will be going through it. Our next, the joint meeting of the Parks and Open Space, the Open Space Committee and the Culture, Parks and Recreation Commission, I believe is Friday, the 18th. So you'll have a good 2 weeks plus to look through it. If you are in need of a printed copy of this, you can let me know and I will have work out a way to get you a printed copy. It is a large document. It does open. The link will take you to PDFs that you can open on your desktop PC. I wouldn't recommend printing it as it would eat up a lot of your paper. But if you are in need of a printed copy, let me know, and I will figure out a way to get you one, get one to you. But that's where we are at this point. The next meeting is July 18th, where we'll have the consultants from Weston and Sampson go through it. If there's anything that you see during, I'll put this in the email, but if you have a chance to review the document, it is a draft document at this point. We ask that it's not being shared outside of your commission and or the Culture, Parks and Recreation Commission. Others will have a chance to weigh in on it after the presentation. But if you have any comments or questions in advance that you would like me to relay to the consultants prior to their presentation on the 18th, I would be happy to do that. Just email those to me.
And just for correction, Tom, it's the 17th.
I apologize.
Yes.
17th, thank you.
Right.
So any questions at this point? Again, I haven't gone through it with a fine-tooth comb or looking for the additions to what we previously sent them, as I was on vacation last week as well, and I'm just trying to get caught up. But I expect that each one of us will do our due diligence to get through it and see if it has what we need and give them the appropriate feedback before the final draft.
Right. Any questions for Tom? Susan?
Hi. So Tom, thank you. I haven't had a chance to review it fully either. That's what I was referring to, that I hadn't completely done my homework. But I just wanted to check and make sure that you got my email with kind of the documents that we had wanted to refer to, in an appendix, maybe even just as a placeholder, like for our new updated ag lease policy, our updated kind of open space policy, that just to even refer to those, because I really would love for this document to be kind of the holder of all the open space stuff, so people can, use it as a repository.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. I believe they did get that information, Susan. I know for a fact that some of them are in the appendix, and then they did add the other ones. I certainly will go through it and see if anything was missed, because we kind of keep finding things that we'd like to have in there. So it wouldn't be difficult to put additional placeholders in. But we did ask for the open space inventory to be included in there. We did ask for the recent I'm going to miss the financial analysis we did of the Parks and Recreation Revenue Fund is as an appendix now. So a bunch of those things that we were looking for are included in now. I don't know. I can't say for sure every single one was, because I haven't gone through it, but that's what we'll all do our review and find out.
Perfect. I mean, sorry, one tiny additional point. Some of the things might not even be, finalized yet, but I wanted to have a list of them in the document. So I'll look through that also, and see if there's anything I see that's. Thank you.
All right, I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Am I in? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Helen, you got you.
Okay, I had a clap of thunder and I completely lost internet. I just now got back in. I just wanted to be sure if I was connected.
Yes. Yes.
What item are we on?
We're talking about the open space and Parks and Rec master plan.
I'm sorry, say that again.
We're talking about the Parks and Rec and open space master plan.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Marjorie, did you want to get in?
Yes, Tom, I just had a question. Do you want the comments before the 17th, or?
If you have something that I could relay to them in advance so that they're prepared for it and can,
Okay.
and we have a chance, if you've had the time to do that, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Something to do. Okay, thank you.
Any other
Good
questions?
afternoon, all. David Bush on the call now.
Hi, David.
Sorry for the delay.
I'm glad we got you.
I have a question. I'm sorry, just because I missed everything. Did you mention when are we going to be hearing about the master plan, or what's the next step?
Sure,
Did I
Helen.
miss that?
No, you didn't. Don't worry about it. I'll be happy to talk about it some more. The after today's meeting, I will email everyone on this commission and as well as the Culture, Parks and Recreation Commission that wasn't on the steering committee. They'll get the link to the most current draft of the proposal that we have, of the report that we have. That'll give you a little over 2 weeks to review it prior to the joint meeting of these commissions on Friday, June 17th. And during that time, if you have any questions or comments that you can get to me in advance so I can give them to the consultant so they can better focus the presentation. If there's anything in particular, I will be happy to do that. You just have to get them to me.
Thanks for the recap.
You're welcome. If you need a printed copy, it's a very large document. Please send me an email and I will do my best to try to get you a copy of that in print. And we just ask that it is a draft document at this point and that you don't share it outside of our commission and the rec commission. The public will have a chance to comment at another point down the line.
Thanks.
I would love a printed copy, Tom. I know I'm killing a tree, but I really kind of need a printed copy to functionally go through it.
Okay. We will work on that. Thank you. Anybody else while I'm on the line?
Any other printed? I know, Susan, you're sharpening the red pen. Hey, just
Use
to
purple.
follow
It's less purple is less upsetting to tell
Okay.
people.
All right. Just to follow up on when this document would be accessible to the public for review and feedback, would that be after the 17th meeting when you would anticipate making that public, Tom?
I believe, Maria, we would post it as in the packet for that meeting.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. So it would be leading up to that. Great. Okay. Any other questions on this item? Okay, next is the Meadowood referral, an update on that. And I'm going to turn it over to Mike Glidden.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Mike.
Just quick, I'll give a quick update on where we stand with Meadowood. This afternoon, the Board of Selectmen had a special meeting to authorize staff to submit for a potential grant with DEP for 140 acres portion of the project. As for the referral process, this has made its way through all the commissions, the land use commission should say. The Conservation Commission provided a positive referral consistent with this commission. The Historic District Commission also granted a favorable or positive referral. The Planning Commission, after 2 meetings, determined that it was consistent with the Plan of Conservation and Development and issued a positive referral on this. But the Zoning Commission, however, had a split vote on the matter. So the Zoning Commission did not grant a positive referral, unlike the rest of the group. I don't know, Tom, did they go through Parks and Rec yet?
No, we had our meeting to review it 2 weeks ago, but the meeting wasn't able to go live to the public, so we could not hold the meeting. It is at the top of our agenda for a special meeting tomorrow evening.
There you go.
Great.
So that's the last stop for this referral as it makes its way back to the Board of Selectmen.
Can I ask, David Bush talking, can I ask why there was, or what was the issue for zoning? What was the dispute?
So there was a split vote at zoning, and 3 of the members felt there was a need for more affordable housing in town, and the project was for an affordable housing development. The other 3 members who were in favor of purchasing the project saw the value in conservation and preservation of the land. Both 3 and 3 did not agree on, that their concerns outweighed the others. So that's why we had a tie vote.
Okay. Because then I take it that's based on the assumption that if the town doesn't buy it, that the project was going forward, rather than on an assumption that if the town doesn't buy it, they may go to sell it to another party?
The assumption was, well, they have an approved project on the books. So
Okay.
the assumption is that an approved project's going to be built.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions on the status of Meadowood?
I did watch the
Susan, if that's you, we kind of lost you.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was on my end. No.
Yeah.
Band of weather going through.
Yeah, I just had a big crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Susan's frozen. Okay. Well, what we can do, obviously, if when Susan gets back, we can come back to this item. Are there any other questions on Meadowwood, though, before I move on? Okay. So next
Okay,
is...
I'm sorry. Eric, David Bush?
Yes. Yeah, Dave.
So is there I thought there was a July 7 deadline that we needed to vote on this one way or another. Am I incorrect on that?
That's not my understanding.
Okay.
Mike, Maria?
I think we had just sort of asked for folks to try and do it by early July. It might have been the July 7th date, but given again the pandemic and the troubles with getting things to air live, I think we're pretty lucky so far that it's gone so smoothly. So if you guys are able, the Culture Park and Rec Commission able to meet and discuss it tomorrow night, that's very helpful. But again, if something happens otherwise, we'll be okay.
Well, and here's my concern: is simply open space doesn't meet generally as often as Park and Rec does. I expect our vote to go forward tomorrow. Are we holding up anything, i.e., open space, if we don't vote on this evening?
This commission already rendered a decision on the referral.
They did. Okay. I know that there was an issue early on about they wanted it to go through them before it went to BOS. So great. If we're all set, then perfect.
Yeah, David, we were able to take care of it at the June meeting. Unfortunately, that you were unable to attend, but we were able to square it away at the June meeting with this group.
See, that's what happens when you miss a meeting. You miss all the fun and all the approvals.
You had sent a letter of support.
Yes.
For that.
There you go. That's better than taking the meeting in. So, all right, thank you. I'll be quiet now.
Yeah, no pressure, Dave. But if you could shepherd Culture Parks and Rec to a positive referral, I'd be a happy person. But obviously,
so would I. Let's see if we can deliver.
All right. Do we have Susan back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Susan.
Okay.
Please re-ask your question.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, one of the concerns at zoning, so I watched the meeting, and I mean, everyone recognized the multiple values and the historical value and the iconic value, the wildlife. That I think it was really the affordable housing and the cost. And so one question that I had is, even in the current structure of the deal with the Trust for Public Land, there are 20 acres reserved for playing fields, but that 24 acres.
I can't hear her.
Oh, we lost Susan again.
Yeah, I can't hear her either.
It's really kind of will be owned by the town outright and could be.
Susan, we're having trouble with your connection.
Any chance we could have Susan try to call in?
She's going to type her question into the group. Ask the question that way.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on Meadowwood? And then we'll come back when Susan gets her question in. All right. Mike, let's move on to the potential disposition of the parcel of open space along Holcomb Street. Just an update on that.
So the Board of Selectmen opened the public hearing, received all the input from the various boards. The public hearing was continued to August 10th at 6:30 p.m. So the Board of Selectmen is still taking input from the public on this matter.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
Are there questions on this item? The Board of Selectmen received at our first public hearing a couple of weeks ago, received a significant amount of public comment and decided to keep the public hearing open until our next meeting. So we continue to consider that.
I understood the date to be in August on their August meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, so this would continue. And
Okay,
I'm-
so they are meeting in August. You are meeting in August.
Yeah, so this would, I'm blanking on the date, but it's our regularly
August 10th.
scheduled meeting. Okay, August 10th.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for,
Eric, was there a particular theme of, input on that acquisition that, just a point or two that people are looking to have addressed?
I think that that if I were to categorize the feedback we received, there was some criticism of process. There is criticism about or concern about setting precedent in the sale of this property and making sure that we're being as transparent as possible in linking this to the acquisition of open space to support the bike path. But we received, I don't recall exactly, but at least 24 letters that were against the disposition, and a couple that were for.
Okay,
You say a
thank
couple
you.
that were for? Okay.
Well, from the Antonios themselves.
I was going to say, from whom?
Yeah. Any other questions on this item? Okay. And,
Just when will that? Sorry, Eric. Just real quick. When will that be brought up again with the Board of Selectmen? Is there a date set yet?
yeah, it will be our August 10th meeting, which is when the continuation of the public hearing is scheduled.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And the final update is on the pollinator pathway program and possible grants. And I know that this is an item that Susan had an update on. Susan, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
For the moment, yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm not going to turn my video on because
Okay,
that makes it worse. So one of the promising options for that the town could put forth is a matching grant through Sustainable CT. And I've done 2 of those so far through the Grange, and they ran out of money, but they're relaunching the program. And I think it would be, the grants are up to $30,000 each, and they're reopening that program. So I just wanted to put it out there as a very easy application that I think people would be interested in contributing to, and would be a nice way to advertise it. People who are interested could put in a little bit of money, and we'd get points on our Sustainable CT program too.
Thanks, Susan. What's the nature of what would the grants be for specifically, or as specifically as you can be?
They're actually pretty flexible. It could be for public education.
Oh,
Could be for actually planting the pollinator garden. It could be for paying experts for advice. It could be for food. It could be for renting things. As long as it's not a permanent capital kind of thing, then it's very, very flexible.
great. Thanks, Susan. Are there any other questions or anything else related to the pollinator pathway program?
No, I'd just like to say I'm meeting tomorrow with some of the teachers from Henry James, and
Great.
the teachers are interested in putting in a pollinator garden. We're going to look to see where that might be. So
I got wind that might be happening. I was really pleased to hear that.
that's good.
And earlier this spring, there was a pollinator garden put in at the farms. So 2 pollinator gardens.
There's also an interest in the Simsbury Cemetery. They want their field. They want to make that a pollinator field.
Great. I have to say on my First Selectman's Facebook page for the past week and a half, we've been calling it Pollinator Week, and the response that I've gotten to some of these posts has been quite positive, where people assume that I know more than I do, and I've been referring the people to the Pollinator Pathways program, because obviously you and others are far more knowledgeable about this than I am, but I'm really glad to do my part to get the word out.
Well done, Eric.
Thank you. Susan, while we have you, would you want to try asking your question about the Meadowood referral?
Sure. I typed it in, but my general point was that I think everyone on the commission recognized the multiple values of the property, but maybe weighed them a little bit differently, including the historic value of the Meadowood property. But my question is that the town would own the 24 acres that's currently slated as athletic fields outright. And if, that's kind of a reserved piece of the property, that if we had a different vision for that, or maybe it would be a little affordable housing community or something like that, that could be a different use for that property. I'm just saying there's nothing precluding still having potentially that goal for the property. And there may be other affordable housing options that come up in the center of town or in other places in between. So I don't want to set up a conflict between, what are critical pieces of land that we want to conserve in town, and also a goal for affordable housing. And affordable housing really makes the most sense when it's near transportation and services and jobs and all that kind of infrastructure. So it doesn't help someone who's financially challenged if they're kind of, aside from all of that stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Susan. I completely agree on that point. And I think it's a little bit unfortunate that the argument has been sort of set up about, do we want open space or do we want affordable housing? Because I think that we can do both as a community. And I don't think that it's actually a fair representation of what the decision is in this particular project. That's my opinion. Okay, the last item we have is an update on the policies work group. So the stewardship policy and disposition of open space policy. Maria, I'm sorry, who is going to take this one?
Sure. So we were really fortunate in that Susan had put together some information about natural stewardship. And so I thought perhaps that we could let her just sort of share her thoughts and walk the group through that.
Right.
And then just sort of another point we wanted to raise is that we would really like to get the work group going again, the policies work group that was going to be looking at things like stewardship policies, updating our agricultural leases, things of that nature. It's been a little challenging for us being short-staffed in the planning department to be able to provide staff capacity to that group. So we're hoping to be fully staffed in that department most likely by fall. But in the meantime, we would definitely, encourage members of that work group if they want to sort of do some tasks independently, like what Susan did in terms of the natural stewardship policy. We just definitely want to encourage people in that work group to keep doing, research and work like that. And we'll try to more formally pull the group together when we're fully staffed.
Thanks, Maria. Susan?
Yes.
Turn it over to you.
Okay, great. So I have to say, I think what Simsbury is doing is really visionary in trying to really, define what are key habitats and uses and goals for our different pieces of open space. And I know that the consultants have identified when should we mow our grasslands, what should we do for these different habitats. And one of the things that we've been struggling with is what are our policies related to our forests. So I've been trying to pull together related to the Connecticut Land Conservation Coalition and a number of experts, Highstead, Harvard Forest. What would be, how would you take care of just a natural area? How often would you monitor it? What would be the policies? When would you intervene, and how would you make those decisions? So what I provided to the commission today is a draft, but the intention is that it would have, references and more specifics so that the town can, like all of the other documents that we're trying to put together, there's kind of a guidance document for making those decisions. So that's the goal. This is just a draft today, but then that could be something that we could talk about as, a way to go forward, which would kind of give everybody, a clearer idea of what's going on and why.
Susan, thank you. Are you looking for feedback on that draft right now? Or would you want to wait on that?
I'm happy to wait on that. And I was planning on I thought that I would get more feedback and pull it together with the references before this meeting, but that didn't happen. So this is kind of just a heads up to let you know that there will be a more comprehensive document coming. I'm open to feedback now, but it's going to be more robust coming forward.
Yeah, thanks for your work on this, Susan. Were there any immediate questions or points of feedback? Okay. Susan, anything else that you wanted to add that I didn't mean to cut you off?
About this topic?
Yeah.
Nope, that's it. This is just kind of a heads up. And I thought that, like the other documents I was mentioning in the being attached to the open space master plan, like our ag policies and things like this could just be like a name in the open space master plan. If this isn't completed when that draft is done, it could just be listed as one of those documents in the appendix that is pending, like our policies.
Thank you, Susan. I just wanted to see if there was any other business before we adjourned. Okay. Was someone going to say something?
Sorry, it's me again.
Not at all.
So I wanted to give, I know a lot of people have seen some commotion on West Mountain Road related to Masako State Forest. So I just wanted to provide a little public. So that is the major east-west wildlife corridor that was recognized when we preserved the Ethel Walker Woods and recognized by the consultants. And, it's been known for a long time. That was part of the reason why the Ethel Walker Woods was valuable, because of this corridor that connects it to a major additional open space network. And since then, it's been identified that this is called the Eastern Wildway, which is kind of a major corridor that goes up the East Coast that's really critical to protect for future biodiversity and wildlife. So, and the other thing is if you live nearby, you know that there's a trail that goes to Tooten Hills School that the kids can walk to school off the road. So that's been something I worked on for a long time through the Safe Routes to School program. Anyway, I went to DEEP a few years ago and brought up the wildlife corridor. And so this, anyway, there's kind of a severe project going on right now that people were upset about. DEEP came out, we had a meeting. There's going to be a forum tonight, but I think that, the best path forward is we could figure out how to say, okay, what's been done is done, and we can have a path forward that would focus on research and education. It's an incredibly, experts have said it's an exceptionally healthy forest. It's like a poster child for forest health. So I think we really need to revisit what we're doing and why. And there's been a number of changing stories about what this project is about. And, we really need to revisit what we're doing. So I just wanted to let people know. I know that they're trying to keep information current. It's moving pretty quickly at the Keep the Woods website. So if people want more information, I would recommend that they go to the website and check it out.
Susan, David Bush, is this a local project or this is a state project, isn't it?
Right. It's a state project. Yeah. So that's.
Do we have any say in how and when and where they do their work, or is that really, again, you have to get in front of it rather than once they start doing the work, you really can't stop it.
Well, there was a plan that was written a long time ago, and it was, I believe, brought to the Conservation Commission and the Simsbury Land Trust and a group called Friends of Goodwin that I've never even heard of and is not local at all. But one of the issues is that plan was really focused on the Great Pond block, which is also considered under the same plan as this block. And so all the review was focused on the Great Pond block. It wasn't really focused on this block. And, you know, people can judge for themselves what they think about the Great Pond situation. But I think this area was really not well assessed and kind of not really considered when people were making comments on the plan. I even saw some of the trees marked out there, but what I thought was going to happen, and I thought it was just off the rails because nothing has happened for so long, is, let's just say, dramatically different than what is happening out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Dave, I'll also share that there were about 60 people that came out to the info session last week. Tonight's session is a Zoom meeting that's at 6:30. So if anyone wants that link, let me know and I can send that to you offline. Lastly, just wanted to share that, you know, Representative Hampton and Senator Witkos are engaged on this issue. And I know, at least for the time being, I spoke with one of the representatives from DEP late last week, and they said that they'd at least put a temporary pause on the work that they're doing in light of the questions and conversation that's happening right now.
No, and again, Eric, I appreciate that because I'm a person that goes to Great Pond quite a bit. My dog loves that area. And I found it interesting the manner in which they went about the clearing there. And I understand the idea of leaving a lot of the timber in certain positions. It's great for the habitat and great for everything else. But from a visual standpoint, from a neophyte like myself on this issue, it just is. It's kind of troubling when you first see it. So I can see how there could be some reaction, and glad to hear there's a conversation going on with the state. So good job.
Yeah, and it was interesting, some of the things that came out of that meeting at the forest where the state representatives were, is that the timber that's going to be taken from that area is going to be sent to Canada. Was found to be taken. It's going to be sent to Canada. So the argument that the state was making was that it was good for Connecticut jobs and this lumber would be used in state. So it doesn't seem like it's a really well thought out plan. So I think Susan was the one that brought it all to everyone's attention, and it certainly was an eye opener. That, you know, the state had a policy, but it didn't quite make sense. So it's good that the citizens all sort of rallied around and asked questions.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, there's been a shifting reason for this project. According to their plan, it was planting pine trees. But then when I spoke to them on the phone, they said it was removing dead and diseased trees and removing invasives, which there's no invasives there, which is highly unusual. That's one of the reasons why we shouldn't be messing around with it. Then on site, they said it was for local wood. But after the meeting, they said the lumber was being shipped to Canada or burned. And then on site, there's a sign that says it's about forest remodeling for wildlife and wood products. And now for the meeting tonight, they said it's about increasing the structural diversity of the forest, which is crazy because all the trees they left are the same size and the rest are crushed. So there's no way there's better structural diversity than what's there right now. So anyway, it's kind of a zoo, and I'm hoping we can just kind of regroup and find a positive path forward.
So anybody on the call, what's the best access point if I wanted to go over and just take a look at what's going on?
Susan, you tell. I think as you're driving down West Mountain Road, just past what's that street where everyone met last time?
It's near Lost Brook. There's a big driveway that's cut in. The address is about 150.
No, I know where Lost Brook is. Okay, you got it.
Yeah, it's just north of there where you'll see there's a cut in, and you can see there's already been quite a few trees taken down.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions on this topic? All right, Susan, thanks for keeping us up to date. Any other business before we adjourn? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Stay
Thanks.
well. and
Thanks,
we'll talk
Eric.
soon.